going to be learning about our menu strategy. This is a new strategy that we are going to be using in our class occasionally. This activity is going to allow you to get the same kind of information, but you all don't have to do it in the same exact way. You're all not going to have to write the same vocabulary word 10 times at the definition. Okay, this is going to give you the choice to do different activities while you all still get the same kind of content. All right, so how this works, I'm going to explain to you how this works. So you have 4 types of meals, from the appetizer, sides, entrees, and desserts. And from these, for the week, you have to get $10 worth of food, okay, to be able to pay for everything. Your first thing that you're going to be doing, and this is going to be done on Mondays, is we're going to have our appetizer. And you have 3 choices for this week. This week's choices is you're going to rewrite one poem we have read this quarter in your own words. Now you can look at your worksheets because you have all this on the worksheet that you're going to keep in your binder. So you're going to take a poem that you read this quarter and you're going to put it in your own words. It's going to have the same meaning, the same content. You can make it easier if you thought the poem was hard. You can make it harder. Okay, you can make it more mysterious. You can try to make it funny. All right, you're going to do it in your own words. The next option you have for your appetizer is to select 5 new words that you came across from our latest reading. These are words you might not be familiar with or you're not really sure of the meaning. And you are going to make a small poster just on an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and you can actually type this up or draw it by hand. And you're going to make this colorful. You're going to write those vocabulary words with the definition and a picture to go with it. I want this to be bright, colorful. You can write up, diagonal, sideways. But all your words need to be on that page, and it's got to look good. Again, you can do it on the computer where, you'll have all the colors there, or you can use your hand, by hand. The last option you have for your appetizers is to create a 10-question quiz on the chapter we just read in our latest novel. Now, the important thing I want you to remember when you're writing this quiz is to leave the answers open-ended, okay? I don't want any questions where the answer can just be yes or no. And then I want you to answer those. Have an answer key. So I know that you know the information, and if I decide to use one of your questions on the quiz, or a test or an assessment that we have later on, you'll actually earn extra points, as long as you have that answer key so I know that you know what's going on. So that's going to be what we're doing on Monday of this week. On Tuesday, we're going to move to our side items. You're going to get to pick, again, from one of 3 side items. This week's choices, so basically our specials for this week. First one is you can tweet about our latest novel. Use hashtags to reach a larger audience. Tell the world what you thought about it. If you had a question about it, tweet out that question. Hashtag the author if they're still alive, okay? And see what kind of responses you can get. And on Friday, when everything is due, you'll go back and check to see if you have responses, and then you'll print them out and turn the whole thing in. You can also choose to create a 4-flap foldable on our latest novel. Each flap has to have 4 sentences, and the entire 4-flap has to have a total of 6 images, including a title flap. So you have 4 sentences per flap and a title flap. Or you can create a poster that is super neat and super colorful to help support students' understanding of nonfiction work. So what you're going to do with this is you're going to tell on that poster everything you know about nonfiction, what it is, what kind of books are involved, what are the rules, what kinds of things don't appear in it. Okay, so you're making a public service announcement on what you know about nonfiction. I do have poster board available, and that's in the back of the room. Now, because this is Tuesday, even if you finish your appetizer early, we're not going to go on. Okay, so these are basically a progression of how you're going to be eating in English class this week. All right, after our sides, we're going to move on to our entrees. And our entrees, this is the meat of the work that you're doing this week. This is the stuff that takes a little more time and maybe a little bit harder. So we'll definitely use all of Wednesday. And if we need to, we'll go into Thursday a little bit too, because desserts don't take a whole lot of time. So for the first option you have for your entree, you're going to read a journal article. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to research. You're going to have to go online, okay, to our school website where we can get into those academic journals, and you're going to find an article that relates on our latest reading, okay, the novel that we're reading right now. Then you're going to make a summary share PowerPoint. What that means is you're going to make a PowerPoint, okay, that summarizes what the author is talking about. His or her points, how she feels, or he or she feels about the text, okay, what they're arguing, because usually papers argue something, not in a rude way, but you know, they have a purpose. What's the purpose? You need to give details, textual evidence in your PowerPoint. I want to say I want this to be 6 slides, and I don't want them to just be a picture on a slide, okay? I want it to have information. You are more than welcome to use pictures to accent, but this is informative. This is that meat that we're talking about, okay? This is going to fill you up. The next choice you have is to write and design a children's storybook, and it needs to be fiction and for 4th and 5th grade. Remember, at the end of the month, we're going to the elementary school, okay, to do a literacy promotion for those students. You have the opportunity to write and design a children's storybook. You can do it online or by hand. If you do it on the computer, you can print it out. We can have it set up and maybe binded, so you can share that book with your students. Okay, now fiction, remember, means it's not true. It's not a true story. It could be something funny, something that just isn't true, okay? Just a made-up story that's interesting. It could be fantasy, you know, things like that. All right, so that needs to be at least 10 pages, and you need to have a good, solid paragraph on each page. And your story needs to flow. It needs to make sense, okay? You may add pictures into it. You definitely, 4th and 5th graders, even you guys, still like pictures in your books. The third choice you have is to argue against one of your journal articles you found, or you find a separate one because you're only going to do one of these, about the latest novel. I want you to disagree against it. Disagree with it. Argue against whatever it says in the journal, even if you agree with it. If your journal article is saying how great a book was and this character was really well developed, you're going to argue the opposite. You're going to say, that's just not true. Then you're going to go back to your text, or your actual novel, and you're going to give textual evidence why that argument is wrong. Now, the catch for this is you need to write it in the format of a play. So you, or any character that you make up, is going to be arguing in real life, in the play, with the author of this journal. So you're going to be going back and forth, having a conversation about this article. You can make your author angry you don't agree with him, or you can be angry against the journalist. You can make it a pleasant conversation, okay? Remember, when you write a play, we've talked about this before, you have to put the setting, the lighting, you have to note those little nuances, so when we read it, we'll know, like, what the whole setting is, so we can actually feel like we're there. All right, so that's Wednesdays, and again, these are longer, so if they take longer than Wednesday, we'll go into Thursday. So Thursday, we're finishing up our meal, okay? We're ready for dessert. We've wondered all week, when are we going to get to eat this? You know, we want the good stuff, the fun stuff. So for Thursday, you can choose from one of these. You can create a song or rap about the main character of our latest novel. It has to be at least 2 verses. You can pull up lyrics online and change them to make it work with you. If you know a song that you like that has a good rhythm or beat, feel free to use that, because this is not being published, all right? This is not going out to the academic world. You're going to create a song or rap about one of the main characters. Or you can create a 6-box comic strip on fiction, okay? So similar to this exercise, in this comic book, you need to explain what fiction is. Maybe you have 2 characters arguing about what fiction is and what it isn't. Maybe you are writing a story in it, and you tell somebody it's a fiction book and they don't know what it is, so your character is explaining it. Now with this one, you can draw it by hand or use the comic strip program that we have on our computers. Either way is fine. You just need to make sure they're neat, that it makes sense, that there's a flow, all right? And the last selection you can make is to select one vocabulary word, very easy, and create an acrostic poem from it. Now that's the harder part. Now if you don't remember what an acrostic poem is, I'll use the word vocabulary. You will write your word up and down on the page, and then you need to make a poem using the letters as your first word of those lines. Now your poem has to be about the word. So if I were to write a poem about vocabulary, okay, very, very interesting or very hard to understand. Only good for words I don't know. Just, it has to flow, okay? You're being imaginative. You're coming up with a poem that has to do with the actual vocabulary word. You can't write vocabulary and then write on cats, unless the cat is practicing vocabulary with you. All right, so then on Friday, we don't have any new topics. What we're going to do is we're going to come back together. We're going to share our ideas in small groups, and we're going to actually rotate through all 4 of our groups, each of you sharing the things that you created with the other members of your group. And then at the end of that time, those of you that are willing will share your ideas with the class. Now we have that longer class this Friday. It's 120 minutes instead of 90, so we should have time to do all that sharing as well as share with the class. Now you're graded on getting the activities on here done, okay? You can, if you want, add a snack for extra credit. If you can come up with a snack item of your choice that has to do with something that we've been studying or learning, that would be extra credit added to your assignment. All right, so what I want you to do is pick one of your appetizers to start working on. I'm going to come around and answer individual questions in case you're still not sure, because we went through this kind of fast. And then we're going to get to work on our new menu assignment. All right.